Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vigiri Dhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashita Rashita Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashita Rashita Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashita Rashita Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashita Rashita Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashita Rashita Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishora Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Anugauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandal Koramandal Vrajamandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ki Jai Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai The Gaudiya Bhashya Commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Hare Krishna everybody Hari Bol Shubhanand Prabhu and Kishore Krishna Prabhu and who else and Rup Manjari Didi and Nitai and Rasaraj Prabhu Dandavat Pranam and Champak Didi Hare Krishna and whoever else is there watching. So does anybody have any requests of what Mahaprabhu Kirtan we should sing today? If not, I will choose something myself. Okay, Kishore says Pashya Sachi Sutam Anupama Rupam. Okay, let's do that. 1 second. Just opening it up. Pashya Sachi. I haven't sung this one in a long time. Pashya. Come on, why is it not coming up? Did I put a hyphen in it? No, that wouldn't make sense. Did I misspell it? No, this wasn't coming up for some reason. Okay. So this is written by Sri Radha Mohan Das, the same author as Krishna Deva Vantam Vande and Vande Vishwambar Parakamalam. Behold the unparalleled beauty of the son of Mother Shachi. He is an incomparable reservoir of nectarian ras. Tortured by the pangs of separation that arise in his mind due to his intense attachment to Krishna, he manifests the most exquisite yet terrifying pastimes of ecstasy. Totally absorbing himself in thoughts of the supreme being, Lord Jagannath, he constantly experiences the pain of separation. Yet, he is that very same personality whose adorable feet are decorated by the lotus hands of Kamala, Lakshmi Devi. So he is that Jagannath, even though he's feeling separation from Jagannath. Transformations of ecstasy appear in his body. His face becomes intensely flushed and his voice falters. This Radha Mohan Das is simply hoping to attain his lotus feet.
Can you share the screen, Prabhu?
Oh, was I not sharing the screen that whole time? Sorry. Thanks for mentioning that. Oh, oops. Sorry, Manjari, I meant to say Sake Kalai Goram Udaram. I'm a bit spacey right now. Haribo, say Shri Mataji. Yeah, isn't the background really nice? It's so nice where I'm staying right now. Okay, I'll share my screen. 1 second. Actually, 1 second. Just. Oh, done. Pranams, Nari Hari Prabhu, and Subhadra Didi. Just getting on the Dhamma. Haribo, Nari Haribo. Okay. Opasya Shachi Sutam Anupamarupam. Opasya Shachi Sutam Anupamarupam. Kalitamritarasa Nirupama Kupam. Kalitamritarasa Nirupama Kupam. Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam. Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam. Krishna Raga Krita Manasatapam. Krishna Raga Krita Manasatapam. Lila Prakatita Rudra Pratapam. Lila Prakatita Rudra Pratapam. Pasha Shachi Sutta Anupama Rupam. Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam. Prakalita Purushottama Subhishadam. Prakalita Purushottama Subhishadam. Kamalakarakama Lanchita Padam. Kamalakarakama Lanchita Padam. Pasha Shachi Sutta Anupama Rupam. Pasha Shachi Sutta Anupama Rupam. Rohita Vadana Tirohita Bhasham Rohita Vadana Tirohita Bhasham Radha Mohana Krita Charanasham Radha Mohana Krita Charanasham Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam Kalitamrita Rasa Nirupama Kupam Kalitamrita Rasa Nirupama Kupam Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam Pasha Shachi Sutam Anupama Rupam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Sachinandan Jaya Gora Hare Sachinandan Jaya Gora Hari Jai Sachinandan Gora Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gora Hari Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol. Okay, so now we'll do the Mangala Charan and sing the glories of Vrindavan Das Thakur and Chaitanya Bhagavat. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadato sankirtanaikapitaro kamalayataksho Vishvambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro नमस्त्रिकालसत्याय जगन्नाथसुताय च सभृत्याय सुपुत्राय सकलत्राय ते नमः। अवतीर्णो सकारुण्यो परिचिन्नो सरीश्वरो श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानन्दो द्वौ भ्रातरो भजे। सजयति विशुद्धविक्रमा कनकाभकमलायते क्षण वरजानुविलम्बिषर्भुजो बहुधा भक्तिरसाभिनर्तका। जयति जयति देव कृष्ण चैतन्य चन्द्रो जयति जयति कीर्तिस्तस्य नित्या पवित्रा। जयति जयति भृत्यास्तस्य विश्वेशमूर्ते जयति जयति नृत्यां तस्य सर्वप्रियाणाम्। आद्य श्री चैतन्य प्रिय गोष्ठीर्चरणे अशेष प्रकारे मोर्दंड परनामे तबे वंदो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महेश्वर नवद्वीपे अवतार नाम विश्वम्भर। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय देवी त्वं नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्याय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। The glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Adi Bhagla, chapter 8, verses 33 to 42. Ore mura lok shuno Chaitanya Mangal Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Vishakal Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas Chaitanya Lila Ravyas Vrindavana Dasa Koilo Chaitanya Mangal जहाँ रश्रवणे नाशे सर्वय मंगल चैतन्य नितार जाते जानिए महिमा जाते जानी कृष्ण भक्ति सिद्धांतेर सीमा अभागवते जत भक्ति सिद्धांतेर सार लिखिया चेन इहाँ जानी कोरिया उद्धार चैतन्य मंगल शुने जदि पाषंदी जवन से हो महावैष्णव होय तत्कन अमनुष्य रचिते नारे ऐच्छे ग्रंथ धन्य वृंदावन दास मुखे वक्ता श्री चैतन्य वृंदावन दास परे कोटि नमस्कार ऐच्छे ग्रंथ करिते तारिला संसार नारायणी चैतन्येर उच्चिष्ट भाजन तार गर्भे जन्मिला श्रीदास वृंदावन तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित वर्णन जहाँ रश्रवण शुद्ध कोइल त्रिभुवन Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 4-5. Sahaje vichitra madhur chaitanya vihar Vrindavana dasamukhe amrite dhar Vrindavana dasamukhe amrite dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. The Gauriya Bhashya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Alright, so, Kishore Prabhu, would you like to do a recap? Okay, reading. Sure. Opening up chapter 12. Okay, so yesterday, what did we end with? I'll read everything from after the astrologer? Yeah, let's read from that point on. Sridhar, what verse was that? Alright, so with the astrologer, the Lord smiled and asked the thoughtful astrologer, "Who am I? What did you see? Tell me everything in detail." The astrologer said, please go home for now. I'll tell you everything in the afternoon after I peacefully chant my mantra." Smiling, the Lord agreed to the astrologer's request and went to the house of his dear devotee Sridhar. Sridhar was very dear to the Lord's heart, and the Lord would therefore visit him on various pretexts. The Lord would tease Sridhar in the course of their regular conversations, which would last for an hour or two. When Sridhar saw that Nimāi had arrived, he offered him obeisances and a place to sit. Sridhar was always peaceful in his behavior, while the Lord enjoyed playing the role of an agitated young man, udatter prai. And we'll see this word udatta come up like, 5 or 6 times. The Lord said, "Sridhar, you always chant the name of Hari, so why are you always afflicted by poverty? Can you please tell me why, even after serving the beloved Lord of Lakshmi, you do not get sufficient food and clothes?" Sridhar replied, "At least I am not starving, and whether small or large, I am still wearing some cloth." The Lord said, "But I see your cloth is mended in 10 places, and the roof of your cottage has no straw. Look at other people. They worship Chandi or Vishahari, so they have no scarcity for food or cloth." Sridhar then replied, "O Brahman, what you say is indeed correct, yet the time passes equally for everyone. The king has jewels in his home, and he eats opulent food. Meanwhile, the birds live in trees. Yet time passes equally for everyone, as they all enjoy the fruits of their previous activities by the will of the Lord." The Lord then said, "You have great wealth that you are secretly enjoying. I will soon disclose this to everyone. Then how will you cheat us?" Sridhar said, "O Pandit, please go home now. It is not proper for us to argue." The Lord said, "I am not going to leave you so easily. First tell me what you'll give me." Sridhar said, "I maintain myself by selling leaf cups. So tell me, what can I give you, Goshai?" The Lord said, Let your hidden treasure remain for now. I'll take that later. For now, give me some bananas, banana flowers, and banana stalks, free of charge. Then I won't argue with you." Sridhar thought, "This Brahmana is very aggressive. I'm afraid that," let's use that word udatta again. "I'm afraid that one day he will beat me. But even if he beats me, what can I do to a Brahmana? At the same time, I can't supply him free of charge every day. Anyway, whatever this Brahman takes by force or deceit, that is my good fortune, so I'll continue to give him every day. Thinking in this way, Sridhar said, Listen, Goshai, don't worry about money. I'll happily give you some bananas, banana flowers, leaf cups, and banana stalks. But please do not fight with me. The Lord said, Good, then I won't fight anymore. But see that I get good quality bananas and banana stalks. The Lord daily used Sridhar's leaf cups, and he ate sabjis made from Sridhar's plantains, banana flowers, and banana stalks. Whenever a squash grew on the roof of Sridhar's cottage, the Lord would eat it, cooked with milk and black pepper. The Lord then said, Tell me, what do you think of me? After you answer this, I'll go home. Sridhar replied, You are a Brahmana, a portion of Lord Vishnu. The Lord said, You do not know. Actually, I am from a Gopa family. Although you see me as a son of a Brahmana, I consider myself a cowherd boy. Sridhar smiled at the Lord's words, but due to the illusory energy, he could not recognize his Lord. The Lord then said, Sridhar, let me tell you the truth. The glories of your Ganga are due to me. Sridhar replied, Nimāi Paṇḍīta, are you not afraid of insulting Ganga in this way? One is supposed to become sober as he grows up, but I see that your restlessness has doubled. After joking with Sridhar this way, Lord Gauranga returned to his home. Śrī Gaurasundar sat down at the door of his Vishnu temple, and his students all returned to their homes. As Nimāi saw the full moon one night, his heart became absorbed in the mood of Śrī Vrindavan Chandra. Nimāi then began to play a flute in a most enchanting tune, which only Mother Shachi could hear. When Mother Shachi heard the sound of that flute, which attracts the three worlds, she fell unconscious in ecstasy. After a while, she regained consciousness and steadied her mind. As she continued listening to the wonderful sound of the flute, Shachi then noticed that the enchanting enchanting sound of the flute was coming from the direction where Nimāi was sitting. Mother Shachi came outside in astonishment and saw that her son was sitting at the door of the Vishnu temple. She could no longer hear the sound of the flute, but she saw the full moon on the chest of her son. Seeing the moon on the chest of her son, Shachi was struck with wonder and began looking around. Mother Shachi then went back inside and began to think about the reason for such a vision. In this way, the most fortunate Mother Shachi saw unlimited manifestations of opulence. One night, Shachi heard hundreds of people singing and playing musical instruments. By the sound of dancing and various wind instruments, she considered that a grand Ras Leela festival was taking place. One day, all she could see was a brilliant spiritual effulgence permeating her house. On another day, she saw many divine women who all held lotus flowers in their hands and resembled the goddess of fortune. One day, she saw the effulgent demigods, but when she looked again, she couldn't see them. It is not astonishing that Shachi had such visions, for the Vedas describe her as a personification of devotional service to Lord Vishnu. Whoever receives the merciful glance of Mother Shachi becomes eligible to see such opulences. In this way, Śrī Gaurasundar, who is non-different from Lord Krishna, lived in Navadvīpa incognito, while relishing his own ecstasy. Although the Lord manifested his opulences in various ways, his servants were still unable to recognize him. The arrogance that was sportingly displayed by Nimāi was unmatched throughout Navadvīpa. The pastimes enjoyed by the Lord are supreme in all respects. Whenever the Lord desires to fight, he becomes the topmost hero, and no one can surpass his prowess with weapons. Whenever the Lord desires to enjoy conjugal pastimes, he manifests millions of beautiful women. Whenever the Lord desires to enjoy opulence, he fills his servants' homes with millions of oceans of wealth. In this way, the arrogant nature now manifests, this udatta, this arrogant nature now manifest by the Lord, immediately vanished when he accepted the path of renunciation. At that time, not even a fragment of the renunciation and devotion that he manifests could be found throughout the 3 worlds. Is this possible for anyone else? The activities of the Lord are supreme in all respects, but it is his nature to accept defeat at the hands of his devotees. One day, along with 5 or 7 students, Nimāi was walking down the main road. Nimāi was dressed like a king. The yellow cloth that covered his body made him look just like Krishna. As he chewed betel nuts, his face resembled millions of moons. People who saw him inquired, "Is he Cupid?" His forehead was decorated with tilak, and in his hands he carried some books. A glance from his lotus eyes destroyed all sins. As the restless-natured Lord walked along with his students, his arms swung back and forth. By providence, Śrī Paṇḍīta was coming from the opposite direction at that time. Upon seeing the Lord, Śrī began to laugh loudly. Nimāi offered obeisances to Śrī, who blessed Nimāi by saying, "Live a long life, chira jivi ho." Śrī smiled and inquired, "O best of the arrogant, udatta, where are you going? Why do you uselessly waste your time by not worshipping Krishna? Why do you spend day and night simply teaching mundane knowledge? Why do people study? Education is only for understanding the devotional service of Lord Krishna. Therefore, do not uselessly waste your time any longer. You have studied enough. Now you should worship Krishna." Nimāi smiled and said, "Listen, Pandit, that will certainly be done by your mercy." After speaking in this way, Mahaprabhu smiled and departed for the bank of the Ganga, where he met his students. Śrī Sachinandan then sat on the bank of the Ganga, with his students surrounding him on all sides. I cannot describe the beauty of that scene, even if I had millions of mouths. There is no comparison in the 3 worlds. I cannot compare that scene with the moon surrounded by the stars, because the moon has spots, and it also waxes and wanes. This Lord, however, is eternally complete and spotless. Therefore, a comparison with the moon is unjustified. I cannot compare Nimāi even with Brihaspati, because Brihaspati is partial to the demigods. This Lord, however, is partial to everyone, and therefore a comparison with Brihaspati is also unjustified. Nor can I compare Nimāi with Cupid, because if Cupid appears in one's heart, that heart becomes agitated. When this Lord appears in one's heart, however, all one's material bondage is destroyed, and his heart becomes pure and happy. Therefore, all these comparisons are improper. But there is one comparison that I can think of. What is that comparison? Just as the son of Nanda enjoyed his pastime sitting amongst the cowherd boys on the bank of the Yamuna, that same Krishna, in the form of a Brahman, now enjoyed pastime sitting with those same cowherd boys on the bank of the Ganga. Whoever saw the Lord's face as he sat on the bank of the Ganga attained indescribable happiness. Seeing the Lord's extraordinary effulgence, everyone on the bank of the Ganga began to whisper to one another. Someone said, "An ordinary human does not have such effulgence." Someone else said, "This Brahmana is a portion of Lord Vishnu." Another said, "I think he will fulfill the prediction that a Brahman will become the king of Gauda, for he has all the symptoms of a king." In this way, everyone spoke according to their understanding. Meanwhile, the Lord pointed out faults in other teachers as he engaged in explaining the scriptures on the bank of the Ganga. Nimāi established correct statements as incorrect and incorrect statements as correct. Then, after refuting all other explanations, he again established the proper meaning with new explanations. The Lord said, "I consider a person learned if he is able to discuss with me. Who has the power to refute me by establishing a different explanation?" As the Supreme Lord exhibited his pride in this way, he smashed the pride of all others. The Lord had innumerable students who studied in groups under his direction. Every day, 10 or 20 Brahmin boys came to offer obeisances to the Lord. They would say, "O Pandit, we wish to study with you. Please be merciful so that we may learn something." The Lord smiled and said, "Good, good." Thus the number of his students increased day by day. The Lord of Vaikuntha would sit amongst the circle of his students on the bank of the Ganga. Fortunate people watched from all sides, and by the influence of the Lord, the entire city of Navadvīpa became free from lamentation. Who can calculate the good fortune of the pious souls who saw those pastimes? Just by seeing a pious soul who has seen those pastimes, one is freed from material bondage. My sinful birth did not take place at that time. Therefore, I was cheated from seeing those pastimes. Still, O Gaurachandra, please be merciful to me so that I may remember those pastimes, birth after birth. Wherever you and Nityananda perform pastimes with your associates, may I be present there as a servant. Accepting Śrī Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Sorry, that was a long that wasn't a recap. I just read all the verses. But it was just so nice I wanted to read it again. All right. I'm just checking the comments. Haribol, Surevi Didi, Indira Mataji, and Amit Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Oh, and Amit Krishna Prabhu, sorry I haven't responded to your messages properly. Yesterday was such a busy day. Anyways, I'll respond in a bit. Okay, chapter 13, defeating Dig-vijaya. This chapter describes Nimai's. This is the Kathasar, and written by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj when he was a brahmachari, when he's Pranavananda brahmachari. This chapter describes Nimai's victory over and deliverance of Dig-vijaya Paṇḍīta, who had received the favor of Saraswati and who is proud of his knowledge. When Nimāi Paṇḍīta was residing in Navadvīpa as the crest jewel of all teachers, a great Dig-vijaya Paṇḍīta, who had received the benediction from Saraswati, arrived there. The Dig-vijaya had already defeated in argument the learned scholars of all provinces, and after hearing that the scholars of Navadvīpa were famous for their learning throughout India, he proudly arrived in Navadvīpa in order to defeat the scholars there. Hearing about the arrival of the Dig-vijaya Paṇḍīta, the entire scholarly community of Navadvīpa became most restless and worried. When the students of Nimāi Paṇḍīta gave him this news, he told them, "The Supreme Lord and destroyer of everyone's pride always destroys the pride of arrogant persons. Trees with fruits and persons with good qualities are always humble. Because great Dig-vijaya kings like Haihaya, Nahusha, Vena, Bana, Naraka, and Ravan were excessively intoxicated with pride, the Lord ultimately destroyed their pride. Therefore, the Lord will soon destroy the pride of this Dig-vijaya who has come to Navadvīpa." After speaking in this way, the Lord sat on the bank of the Ganga. He sat on the bank of the Ganga that evening and began to contemplate how to conquer this Dig-vijaya. At that time, as the full moon shone in the sky, the Dig-vijaya arrived before the Lord and was informed by the students about the identity of the wonderfully effulgent Nimāi Paṇḍīta. The Lord first exchanged a few words with the Dig-vijaya, and then respectfully and tactfully requested him to describe the glories of the Ganga. You know what? I'm going to just read up the Kathasar up to this point, and I'll read the full Kathasar tomorrow. Because then we can do a recap and continue reading on. Yeah. And also I started a bit late today. Jaya Jaya Dijakula. So verse 1, chapter 13. Adikanda. Oh, and Hare Krishna Govinda Saha. Jaya Jaya Dijakula Deepa Gaura Chandra. Jaya Bhakta Goshti Hridaya Ananda. All glories to Śrī Gaurachandra, the shining light of the family of Brahmanas. All glories to the Lord, who increases the happiness in the hearts of his devotees. Jaya Jaya Dvarapala Govinder Nath, Jiva Prati Koro Prabhu Shubha Drishti Pat. All glories to the Lord of Govinda, the doorkeeper. O Lord, please glance mercifully on the living entities. When it's referring to Govinda the doorkeeper, it's referring to Mahaprabhu's god brother and personal servant who served, like in Gambhira, that Govinda. Jaya Adhyapaka, I'm pretty sure, because before it was referred to Dwarapala Govinda, and that was explained in the commentary, so I'm pretty sure it refers to him here. But I'm like 90% sure. Jaya Adhyapaka Shiro Ratna Vipraraj, Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Bhakata Samaj. All glories to the crest jewel of teachers and the king of Brahmanas. All glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. He namate vidyarase Śrī Vaikuṇṭha-nath, Boishen sabar kori vidya garva pat. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuṇṭha enjoyed his scholastic pastimes by vanquishing the scholar's pride. Yadyapiha Navadvīpe Paṇḍīta Samaj, Kotyar Buddha Adhyapaka Nana Shastra Raj. Navadvīpa was full of millions of learned scholars, each of whom had mastered various scriptures. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. The phrase Nana Shastra Raj, if taken as an adjective for the teachers, means that they had mastered various scriptures. In other words, they had complete knowledge of all scriptures. And if taken as a noun, this refers to various principal scriptures. Bhattacharya Chakravarti Mishrava Acharya, Adhyapana Vina Karo Aranahi Karya. Bhattacharyas, Chakravartis, Mishras, and Acharyas had no occupation other than teaching. Yadyapiha Shabye Svatantra Sabarjai, Shastra Charcha Hoile Brahma Reha. Shastra Charcha Hoile Brahma Reha Nahi Soy. These scholars were all independent. These scholars are all independent and so victorious in debating scriptures that they disregarded persons as learned as Lord Brahma. Gaudiya Bhashya. Everyone put forward their independent opinions and endeavored to defeat others. They had no patience to hear the opinion of others in scriptural topics, and even disregarded the conclusions of scholars who were as learned as Lord Brahma. They tried to defeat the most respectable scholars through their arguments. Prabhu Jata Niravadhi Akhepa Koren Parampara Shakshateha Sabe Shunen. The Lord constantly rebuked those scholars who had to directly or indirectly hear those taunts. Tatapi ha heno jan nahi prabhu prati dvirukti korite karo nahi shakti koti. Nevertheless, not one of them was able to counter the Lord's challenges. Heno she sadvasa janme Heno she sadvasa janme prabhure dekhiya shabe jayen ekadina namra hoya. They were so frightened on seeing the Lord that they would humbly try to avoid him. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word sadvasa means awe and reverence, panic, fear, or suspicion. Jadi ba kahare prabhu koren sambhash shei jana hoy jeno ati bodo das. Whoever the Lord spoke with would become his staunch follower. Gaudiya Bhashya. Whenever the Lord addressed someone, that person felt particularly honored, and he would thus desire to serve the Lord. Prabhur Paṇḍīta buddhi shishu kala hoite shabe janen ganga tire bhalo mate. Everyone on the bank of the Ganga knew well that the Lord was most intelligent from his very childhood. Kona rupe keho prabodhite nahi pare iha o sabar chitte jagaye antare. Within their hearts they knew that the Lord could not be defeated in argument. Prabhu deki swabhave janmaye sadvas ataeva prabhu deki shabe hoy vash. Therefore, they naturally became frightened when they saw the Lord, and they were obliged to accept subordination to him. Tatapi ha heno tana mayar bodai puji bare pare tane heno jananai. Nevertheless, the influence of the illusory energy is such that no one was able to recognize him. Teho jadi na koren apana vidita tabe tane keho nahi jane kadachita. No one can possibly recognize the Lord unless and until he reveals himself. Teho puna nitya suprasanna sarvarite tahan mayai puna shabe vimohite. The Lord is eternally merciful to the living entities in every respect. Yet, due to the influence of his illusory energy, everyone remained ignorant of his identity. Heno mate sabare mohiya gora chandra vidyara se Navadvīpe kore prabhu ranga. In this way, Gaurachandra bewildered everyone as he enjoyed his scholastic pastimes in Navadvīpa. Heno kale tata eka Dig-vijaya ailo parama ahankar jukta hoy. Dig-joy hoy. Okay. In the meantime, a proud champion of learning arrived in Navadvīpa. Gaudiya Bhashya. Some people say that Maha Dig-vijaya refers to Keshav Kashmiri or Keshav Bhatta, the disciple of Gangolya Bhatta of the Nimbarka Sampradaya. In consideration of the time factor, there is a difference of opinion in this regard. In his Dig-darshini commentary on the Hari Bhakti Vilas, Srimad Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu has quoted many verses from Keshav Bhatta's Krama Dipika as evidence. Later on, this Keshav Bhatta was accepted as an acharya and the disciplic succession of the Nimbarka Sampradaya. If Keshav Bhatta, the author of Krama Dipika, was accepted in the disciplic succession of the Nimbarka Sampradaya, however, then the author of Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas would have mentioned it in his writing. Interesting. Saraswati mantrer ekanta upasak mantra japi Saraswati korileka vasha. He was a staunch devotee of goddess Saraswati. By chanting her mantra, he had won her favor. Vishnu Bhakti Swarupini Vishnu Vakshastita Murti Bhede Rama Saraswati Jagan Mata. Saraswati is the personification of devotional service to Lord Vishnu. Being non-different from Lakshmi, she eternally resides on the chest of Lord Vishnu. She is the mother of the universe. Gaudiya Bhashya. Rama refers to the Sri Shakti, or Lakshmi, who resides on the chest of Vishnu. Saraswati is the personification of devotional service, or Bhu Shakti. She is the consort of the holy name of the Lord. The phrase Jagan Mata refers to Vishnu's Nila, Lila, and Durga Shaktis. Although the features of Rama, Saraswati, and Durga are different, they are all actually non-different from Sri Narayani, or Lakshmi, the internal potency of Sri Narayan. They are all personifications of Lord Vishnu's service, since they are all principal Ashraya Vigrahas. And since they are all principal Ashraya Vigrahas, they are the mothers of the universe. Bhagyavashe Brahmaner Prataksha Hoila Tribhuvana Dig-vijaya Paṇḍīta. Due to the Brahmana's great fortune, she appeared before him and blessed him to conquer the three worlds. Gaudiya Bhashya. Spiritual knowledge, or Saraswati, hides her real identity from those who are proud, foolish, attached to material enjoyment, and absorbed in the false ego of thinking themselves the doers. And in her shadow form of Dushta Saraswati, she deceives them by awarding them benedictions. Though such puffed-up people who receive her benedictions are able to conquer the three worlds, they are eligible for being totally defeated by the Supreme Lord, who is the ultimate giver of all benedictions. Saraswati Devi never desires that her worshipable Lord may be defeated. So she deceives the conditioned souls who are bewildered by Maya from chanting the glories of the Lord's holy names. When Shuddha Saraswati sees that her worshipper is not inclined towards the service of the Supreme Lord, she bewilders him with material knowledge, which is her shadow form. 23. Jar drishti pata matre hoy Vishnu bhakti Dig-vijaya varava tahan kon shakti. What is the difficulty for her to bless one to become a champion of learning when simply by her merciful glance one achieves devotional service to Lord Vishnu? Gaudiya Bhashya. When, by the non-duplicitous merciful glance of Shuddha Saraswati Devi, one achieves the highest benediction of devotion to Lord Vishnu, then it is easy and extremely insignificant for her to award the people of this world benedictions like becoming a Dig-vijaya. Pai Saraswatir Shakshate Vardhan Sangsara Jiniya Vipra Bule Sthane Sthan. After directly receiving the benediction of Goddess Saraswati, the Brahman traveled from province to province, defeating the local scholars wherever he went. Sarva Shastra Jivai aise nirantar, heno nahi jagate je dibek uttar. All the scriptures resided on the tip of his tongue. There was no one in the world who could answer his challenge. Jar koksha matra nahi bujhe kon jane, Dig-vijaya hoy bole sarvasthane sthane. Many scholars were not even able to understand his questions, so he easily conquered the scholars wherever he went. Shunilen boro Navadvīper mahima, Paṇḍīta samaj jato tar nahi sima. He then heard about the glories of Navadvīpa, wherein endless learned scholars resided. Parama samriddha ashva gaja yukta hoy, Sabhajini Navadvīpe gela Dig-vijaya. Thus, after conquering all other provinces, the champion scholar came to Navadvīpa, along with his opulent entourage, which included horses and elephants. Whoa, he was really big time. It's like a king. Prati ghare ghare prati Paṇḍīta sabhai, Mahadvani upajilo sarva nadiyai. As a result, a loud commotion arose in every house and every assembly of learned scholars in Nadia. Sarva Raja Desha Jini Jaya Patra Loy, Navadvīpe Ashiache Ek Dig-vijaya. People everywhere were heard saying, "A champion scholar has come to Navadvīpa with a certificate of victory from scholars all over the country." Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Jayapatra refers to a certificate of conquest that a party who has lost in a battle of arguments or test of scholarship awards to the victorious party. This is proof of the winning party's superior scholarship. Sarasvatir Varaputra Shuni Sarvajane, Paṇḍīta Sabar Boro Chinta Hoilo Mane. When all the learned scholars of Navadvīpa heard that he was favored by Saraswati, they began to worry. Jambudvipe jata ache Paṇḍiter sthan, Sabhajini Navadvīpa jagate bakhan. Of all the places of learning throughout Jambudvīpa, Navadvīpa surpasses all. Gaudiya Bhashya. Jambudvīpa, in which India is situated, is one of the 7 islands. By her own glories, Navadvīpa was the most famous and celebrated of all places adorned with intelligent people in India. Henostan Dig-vijaya jaibe jiniya, Sangsare e apratishta ghushibe shuniya. If this Dig-vijaya is victorious in such a place as this, then all scholars all over the world will condemn us. Jujite vakar shakti achetan sane, Saraswati vara jare dilen apane. Yet, who has the ability to debate with one who has received the blessings of Saraswati? Saraswati Bhakta Jar Jivaya Apane, Manushe ki vade kabhu pare tan sane. Since Saraswati resides on his tongue, how can a human being debate with him? Sahasra maha bhattacharya, shabe chinten mane chari sarva karja. Thousands of great bhattacharyas left their duties out of anxiety. Chaturdike shabe koren kola holo, bhuji baya e bar jata vidya bal. All over Navadvīpa, people were heard saying, "Now we'll understand the power of our knowledge." E sabhavritanta jata paruvar gane, Kohilen Nija Guru Gaurangir Sthane. The students went and informed their teacher Gauranga of all these incidents. Ek Dig-vijaya Saraswati Vashkori Sarvatra Jiniya Bule Jai Patra Dhori. A Dig-vijaya who has been blessed by Saraswati and who has conquered scholars throughout the world has come with his certificate of victory. Hasti Ghora Dolalok Aneka Sanghati Samprati Asiya Hoila Navadvīpe Sthiti. He has arrived in Navadvīpa surrounded by elephants, horses, palanquins, and many followers. Navadvīpe apnara pratidvandi chai nahi jai patra mage shakala sabhai. He has come to Navadvīpa seeking an opponent. Otherwise, he demands a certificate of victory from the scholars of Navadvīpa. After arriving in Navadvīpa, the Dig-vijaya Paṇḍita searched for a suitable opponent from the rival camp. If there is no suitable scholar in Navadvīpa able to debate with him, then the Dig-vijaya demanded that the scholars issue him a certificate stating that all the scholars of Navadvīpa have been defeated by him. Shuni Shishya Ganer Vachana Goramani Hasya Kohite Lagilen Tattvavani. Hearing the words of his students, the jewel-like Gauranga smiled and began to describe the nature of the Supreme Lord. Shuno bhai shaba e kahi tattva katha ahankar na sahen Ishvara sarvata. Listen, dear brothers, the Supreme Lord never tolerates false pride. Gaudiya Bhashya. Hearing about Dig-vijaya's bragging from the Navadvīpa students who were afraid of their imminent defeat, Śrī Gaurasundar solaced them by describing the nature or truth of the Supreme Lord as follows. He said, the Supreme Lord, who is the controller of Maya, completely destroys the false ego of proud persons who are controlled by Maya. That is, he destroys the pride of proud persons and does not assist them in maintaining their pride in any way. As stated in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:14-20, O Supreme Creator and Master, you defeat the false pride of the faithless demons and show mercy to your saintly devotees. I'm starting to feel a bit sleepy. I think I'm gonna stand up. Let me just get my stands though. Give me 1 second. Yeah. 1 second. Look at the stand. It's like this is thin, but then make it go. Now it's a table. That's better. Thanks. Okay, so wait, what did the previous verse say? Listen, dear brothers, the Supreme Lord never tolerates false pride. Jai jai gune matta hoy, kore ahankar, avashya ishwar taha, koren sanghar. Whenever the Lord sees someone proud of some personal quality, he certainly removes the cause of that pride. Gaudiya Bhashya. 3 modes of material nature are present in this material kingdom. The 3 modes keep their identities intact by remaining indistinct while mixing with the other modes. When the modes of passion and ignorance are subdued by the mode of goodness, a living entity becomes situated in the mode of goodness. Even in such a mode of goodness, a specific relationship with the modes of passion and ignorance still remains. When the specific relationship with both passion and ignorance is completely absent in the mode of goodness, it is called Vishuddha Sattva, or Nirgun, that's pure goodness or transcendence. In order to manifest his Vaikuntha pastimes by bringing into equilibrium the ever-conflicting 3 modes of nature, under whose control intoxicated egotistic persons exhibit their pride, the Supreme Lord removes the opposing nature of the modes and establishes them on the platform of transcendence. The false ego born of the modes of nature is agitated by time. In other words, the concepts of I and mine, which are born from the modes, are found within the time factor and are destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the relationship of the living entities with the modes of nature are only temporary, not eternal. The 3 states of birth, maintenance, and death, which are born of the modes of nature, are not eternal. Therefore, they are ephemeral. Oh God, you keep on helping me with this word and I keep on forgetting how to say it. They're ephemeral. Oh God, I'm really sorry about that. Anyways, they're ephemeral. Activities performed with aversion to the Lord by living entities who consider themselves the doers, they are inferior, while activities performed as service by living entities who consider themselves servants of the Lord are superior or eternal. Ephemeral. Sorry. Activities performed with aversion to the Lord by living entities who consider themselves the doers are inferior, while activities performed as service by living entities who consider themselves servants of the Lord are superior and eternal. 1 second, let me see. Śrī Mataji. Ephemeral. Okay, thanks. Ephemeral. Phalavanta vrikha ar gunavanta jan namrata shetahar svabhava anukhan. What's namrata mean? Oh, namra, yeah. The nature of both the tree laden with fruit and the man decorated with good qualities is that they bow down with namrata, with humility. Gaudiya Bhashya. Just as a tree bends down with a burden of fruits, persons who are in the mode of goodness exhibit humility as a result of their good qualities. Persons who are averse to the purport of statements like, a little education is dangerous, or a small fish jumps too much, and a castor oil plant grows like a tree. So persons who are averse to the purport of statements like those, they praise their own small achievements due to material destitution, and thus become reluctant to display humility before others. That is why Sri Gaurasundar has taught for the benefit of people in general that only those persons who consider themselves lower than a straw on the street are always eligible to serve the Lord by chanting the name of Hari. The living entities who possess minute quantities of the Lord's nature, In the Bhagavad Gita, the living entities are described as para prakriti, or superior nature. While exhibiting pastimes as the spiritual master for the entire world, and while describing the nature of the living entities who possess saintly qualities, Sri Gaurasundar has displayed the ideal example of actual humility. Hoi 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 Nahusha ben bana naraka ravan maha Dig-vijaya shuni yacho je jan. Nimāi said, "You must have heard of the great Dig-vijayas of the past, like Hoya, Nahusha, Vena, Bana, Naraka, and Ravana." Gaudiya Bhashya. Hoya, or Kartavirya-Arjuna, was the king of Mahishmatipur. He received 1,000 arms by the blessing of Lord Dattatreya and was killed by the hands of Lord Parshuram. A description of these incidents is found in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 9:15 verses 17 to 35 and the Mahabharata Tirthayatra Parva of the Vana Parva 115 verses 10 to 18 and 116 verses 19 to 24. And also the Harivangsha 133, the Vayu Puran chapter 94, the Matsya Puran chapter 43, and the Markandeya Puran chapter 16. Wow, that Leela is explained many times in the Shastras. Nahusha was born in the womb of Swarbhanavi by Ayu, who is the son of Pururava, the saintly king of the dynasty of the moon god. He was the father of Maharaj Yayati. A description of Nahusha's becoming intoxicated by opulence, the description of Nahusha's becoming intoxicated by opulence, illusions, and fall down is described in the Mahabharata Ajagara Parva of the Vana Parva 280 verses 111 to 14, 180 verses 30 to 37, and Udyoga Parva 11 10 to 20 verses 10 to 24, chapter 12 and chapter 17. The Harivangsha 128, the Vayu Purana chapter 92, and the Brahma Purana chapter 11. Vena was the ghostly haunted atheistic son of the saintly king Anga. A description of his atheism born of self-worship, his immediate destruction by the curse of Brahmanas who observed his cruelty towards other living entities, and the appearance of Maharaj Prithu from the churning of his arms is found in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 4:13 verses 39 to 49 and 4:14 verses 1 to 46. Vena was averse to serving the Lord through lust, fear, envy, familial relationship, affection, or devotion, and he was averse to the strong favorable cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So as a result of his heinous sins, he fell into the darkest region of hell forever. That is why there was no hope for his deliverance. The saintly king Yudhishthira spoke to Narad Muni in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 7:132 as follows: Katamopi navena syat panchanam purusham prati tasmat kenapyupayena mana krishne niveshayet. That's very famous. Tasmat kenapyupayena mana krishne niveshayet. Whatever way possible, always have to remember Krishna. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously. One must meditate on Krishna. One must absorb one's mind in Krishna. Niveshayat. Then, by one of the 5 processes mentioned above, one can return home back to Godhead. Atheists, like King Vane, however, being unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must somehow think of Krishna, whether in a friendly way or inimically. The 100-armed Ban was a dear servant of Rudra. So now we come to Ban. The 100-armed Bana was a dear servant of Rudra and son of Maharaj Bali, the king of the demons. His other name is Mahakal. A description of Ban and the vanquishment of his pride by Krishna is found in the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, chapters 62 and 63, and in the Harivangsha 2:118. Naraka was a great demon born in the womb of Bhumi, Mother Earth, by the touch of Varahadev. His death at the hands of Krishna is described in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 10:59 verses 1 to 22 in the Hari Vangsha 263, and in the Vishnu Purana 529. Now we come to the last one, Ravan. Ravan's birth, austerities, and pride resulting from the victories in battle by the influence of a benediction are described in the Ramayana, Uttarkanda chapters 9 to 39. Descriptions of his anger on hearing the news of the death of Kara and Dushan at the hands of Sri Ram, and the incidents beginning with his kidnapping of Maya Sita up to his death are found in the Ramayana Aranyakanda chapters 31 to 56, Sundarakanda chapters 4 to 22, Lankakand chapters 6 to 16. Oh, God, that's a lot of numbers. 26 to 31, 40, 59, 62, 63, 93, 96, 101, 103, and 111. Also, it's described in the Mahabharata, Draupadi Haran Parva within the Vana Parva, chapters 279, 277, 280, 284, and 289. And also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 10. The word Dig-vijaya refers to Brahmanas who conquer the 8 directions on the strength of their knowledge. Or it also refers to Kshatriyas who conquer the 8 directions in battle and on the strength of their arms. And it also refers to Vaishyas who conquer the 8 directions on the strength of their wealth earned through farming and trade. Okay. So the Dig-vijaya Paṇḍita, Nimāi said that you must have heard of the great Dig-vijayas of the past, like Har, Nahusha, Vena, Ban, Naraka, and Ravan. Pujo deki kar garva churna nahi hoy, sarvata ishwar ahankara nahi soy. So try to think, whose pride was not smashed? The Supreme Lord never tolerates anyone's false ego. Eteka tahar jata vidya ahankar dekibe etai saba hoi be sanghar. Therefore, you will see this Dig-vijaya's scholastic pride vanquished here in Navadvīpa. Eto boli hasi prabhu shishyagan shange sandhyakale ganga tire ailena range. After saying this, Nimāi smiled. Then in the evening, he took his students to the bank of the Ganga. Ganga jal sparsha kori, Ganga namaskari, boshilen shishya shange, Gauranga Shri Hari. After sprinkling some Ganga water on his head and offering obeisances, Lord Gauranga sat down on the bank with his students. Aneka mandali hoy, sarva shishya gan, boshilen chaturdike paramashobhan. As the students sat around the Lord in various groups, it created an unprecedented scene. Dharma kata shastra kata ashesha kotuke Ganga tire boshiya achen prabhu sukhe. The Lord jubilantly engaged in discussing Varnashram Dharma and scriptural topics on the bank of the Ganga. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Dharmakata refers to ordinary Varnashram topics, which are accessible to the senses. There is a dearth of spiritual knowledge in this world. Therefore, instructions for removing the living entity's darkness of ignorance by administering topics of transcendental knowledge are called Shastra Kata. Kahare nakohi mane bhaven ishvare Dig-vijaya jini baya kemone prakare. Though he did not say anything, the Lord thought, how shall I defeat this Dig-vijaya? E viprer hoyache maha ahankar jagate mahar prati dvandi nahi ar. This Brahman has become most proud because he thinks there is no one in the world to oppose him. Sabhamade jay jadi koriye ihare mritta tulya hoibek sangsara bhitore. If I defeat him in an assembly, it would be equal to death for him. Viprere laghava koribek sarva loke lutibe sarvasva vipra moribek shoke. Everyone would belittle him. They would plunder his belongings, and he would die in lamentation. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Lord is the perfect example of proper conduct, and is always respectful to the people of this world. Therefore, he began to contemplate how miserable the world-renowned scholar Dig-vijaya would become when defeated. He thought, if I defeated the conceited Dig-vijaya in public, he would feel great misery at heart. Moreover, if he were defeated, he would be finished. He would certainly be harassed. All his wealth, elephants, horses, and other possessions would be forcibly taken away by others, and the Brahmana would emerge in lamentation. Keeping all these considerations in mind, I will have to defeat the Dig-vijaya in a secluded place. Oh, that's so kind of him. The word Laghava, used as an adjective in ancient Bengali, is presently not used. Which is presently not used. That word Laghava means neglected, insulted, harassed, hated, insignificant, fallen, devoid of heaviness or existence, useless, liquid, and light. Dukha na paibe vipra garva hoibe khoi virale shekori baya Dig-vijaya jai. Therefore, I will defeat him in a private place so that his pride will be destroyed, but he won't be hurt. E mata ishvara chintite shekhane Dig-vijaya nishai aila she sthane. While the Lord was thinking in this way, night fell, and the Dig-vijaya arrived at that spot. Parama nirmala nisha purna chandravati kiba shobha hoya achen bhagirathi shishya sange gangatire achen ishvar ananta brahmande rupa sarva manohar. It was a clear full moon night, and the Ganga looked most enchanting. As the Lord sat with his students, his attractive form was unmatched throughout innumerable universes. Gaudiya Bhashya. Another reading of verse 59 is Hari Boli Gora Nache Bahutuli. Hari Boli Gora Nache Bahutuli Jagamana Bandolo Karuna Bolo Boli. Gora danced with his arms raised, chanting Hari Bol. By his merciful chanting, he captured the minds of everyone. Interesting. Though this verse is found in some editions, it is inappropriate at this juncture because it is inconsistent with the meaning of verses 52 and 68 of this chapter. Hasya yukta Śrī Chandra Vadana Anukhan Nirantar Divya Drishti Dui Shri Nayan. A smile decorated the Lord's moon-like face, and his beautiful eyes showered merciful glances. Mukta Jini Shri Dashana Aruna Adhar Dayamoy Sukomal Sarva Kalevar. His teeth defeated the luster of a string of pearls, and his reddish lips resembled the color of the rising sun. He was full of compassion, and all the limbs of his body were delicate. Shri Mastake Subalita Chanchar Shrikesh Singha Griva Gaja Skanda Vilakhana Vesh. His head was adorned with beautiful curly black hair. His dress was divine. His neck resembled that of a lion, and his shoulders were like those of an elephant. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word vilakshan means extraordinary or spiritual. Suprakanda Shivigraha Sundara Hriday Yagya Sutra Rupe Tahi Ananta Vijay. His body was very large, and his attractive chest was adorned by Lord Ananta in the form of a Brahman thread. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sri Anantadev adorns the body of Sri Narayan as a sacred thread, one of the 10 forms in which he serves the Lord. Shri Lalate Urdhva Sutilaka Manohar Ajanu Lambita Dui Shri Bhuja Sundar. An enchanting mark of tilak decorated his forehead, and his beautiful arms reached to his knees. Yoga Patta Chande Vastra Koriya Bandhan Vama Uru Maje Tui Dakhina Charan. The Lord wore his cloth like a sannyasi, and he sat with his right foot on his left thigh. Korite Achen Prabhu Shastrer Vyakhyan Hoy Noi Koren Praman. As the Lord explains the scriptures, he established correct statements as incorrect and incorrect statements as correct. Aneka Mandali Hoy Sarva Shishyagan Chaturdike Boshiya Achen Shushoban. All of his students sitting around him in groups created an enchanting scene. Apurva Dekhila Dig-vijaya Suvismita Mane Bhave E Bhuji Nimāi Paṇḍīta. Seeing that wonderful scene, the Dig-vijaya was astonished and thought, "Is this Nimāi Paṇḍīt?" Alakhite Shesthane Thaki Dig-vijaya Prabhur Sondarya Chahe Ekadrishti Hoy. The Dig-vijaya remained incognito as he gazed steadily on the Lord's beautiful form. Shishyastane Jagyasila Ki Naam Ihan Shishya Bole Nimāi Paṇḍīta Khyat. His name second. Did it cut out when I ended though?
You were at verse 71.
Oh, really? Wow, you guys have been waiting for a while. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. That was so strange. Okay, 1 second. Let me just share my screen again. I ended. I didn't even realize there was no internet. Okay, anyways, we're just doing these 2 verses. Shishyastale Jigyasila Ki Nama Ihan Shishya Bole Nimāi Paṇḍīta Khyati Jan. He then asked the Student, what is his name? And the student replied, he is the famous Nimāi Paṇḍīta. Tabe Ganga namaskari she vipravar, ailen ishwarer sabhar bhitar. The best of the Brahmins then offered his obeisances to the Ganga and entered the Lord's assembly. So we'll find out what happens after he entered the Lord's assembly tomorrow. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar. Sorry, one second. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Nugagoria Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath, Shard Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachaya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal, Gaura Mandal, Vraja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Anantakoti Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Thakur ki jai. Gauriya Bhashya Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitāi Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hare Krishna. Let's see. Haribo here on Zoom is Nri Hari Prabhu, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Shubhananda Prabhu, Subhadra Didi. Pranams to all of you. And let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Rup Manjari Didi, Nitai, Rasaraj Prabhu, Aseshwari Mataji, Indira Mataji, Rukmini Didi. Oh, I didn't notice you before. And everybody else, Dandavat Pranams, Haribol. Oh, and the description of Nimai sitting on the bank with all the students. Rup Manjari says, this reminds me of something Vanamali Didi once said about how Mahaprabhu's weapon is his beauty, which he stole from Srimati Radharani. Wow, nice. All right, everybody, thank you so much. See you all tomorrow to read about Mahaprabhu Nimai defeating the pride, crushing the pride of this Dig-vijaya Paṇḍita. Oh, and if anybody has anything that they want to discuss, now is the time. Otherwise, I'll end the video now.
How did it go with the Ayurvedic doctor?
Yeah, good. But God, Ayurvedic treatments are so intense. There's like so many times of the day you have to make this powder and do this and that and that.
Did you get a strict diet?
Yeah. Well, not such a strict diet. Actually, yeah, she said that I'm not supposed to have rice or potatoes. So, I mean, like, what else is there to eat in the mat? That's like everything. But anyhow, I'll figure it out. I'm probably going to still eat rice and potatoes, though. I'm in Bengal. What can you do? Yeah, and she said lots of liquids. I'm supposed to take 10 spoonfuls of ghee every day. So, yeah. All right. So, I'll see you all. Yes.
Oh, kind of an off-topic question, but do you have any memories of Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj?
No, unfortunately, only one. In 2004, I went with my father and Hare Krishna Prabhu from Bolivia. I think it was just us three, or maybe there's somebody else there with us. And we went to Chunchura, the Udharan Gaudiya Math. But at this time, 2004, he was already like doing his monovrat lila, like he wasn't speaking anything to anybody, he's just completely silent. And so then we went there, and when they opened up the door, he was sitting there, and all these Bengali ladies, just my father went there to offer pranam, and then all these Bengali ladies just like trampled him, like he was on the ground, and he was just like, all these Bengali ladies were on top of him, and he was stuck there. And yeah, it was kind of funny. And Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, I think my dad, like, he smiled. I don't remember that so clearly, but my father remembers that. And then, yeah, we did parikrama of him, and that was it. But I didn't have the fortune of only to have his darshan, but that's it. Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, though, I had more, like, some interactions with him when I was little. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj is one of my, like, for me, out of our Guru Varga, one of the acharyas that inspires me, like, I don't know, like, more prominent for me. All right. So, yeah. Jai Shri Radhe. Yeah. All right. Haribol. One second. I'm just quickly checking. Okay. Cool. Haribol.